Hello and welcome to part 2 of our light metal framing webinar series. So today we're going to be looking at the value of the model and some productivity tools that are available for your light metal framing workflows. My name is Craig Johnson. I'm the Business Development Manager for Steel with Trimble in the UK. So a couple of tips on today's webinar. If you want to ask us any questions during the webinar, then you can do so by filling in the questions tab in your GoToWebinar sidebar. For the best viewing experience, we recommend that you watch the webinar in full screen mode. So the webinar today is delivered by a UK Steel team. So that's Craig Johnson, which is myself. I'm the Business Development Manager. Then we have Chris Gatehouse and Radu Trankau, who are both Steel account managers. So it's Radu who is going to take us through the tools today for the webinar today. And in terms of licensing for Tekla Structures, we have 3 different license types. So we have the Tekla Structures Carbon for viewing and collaborating, the Graphite for modeling and documentation, and the Diamond for the detail and automation. The Diamond is going to be the best license to look at for the light metal framing, as it gives you the full capability of detailing and fabrication outputs. So what else is included in the license? So just to recap on what we covered last week, you get all the UK profiles. So that includes cold rolled material grades and the ability to create your own profiles. We work with cold roll partners, 13 in total, and they're all on the system or available from warehouse. And you also get access to their components, so ancillary items, file transfers, and you also have the ability to create your own components if they are not available on the system. And you also have access to the metal framing components. So this is the framing tools that are available. So you have the framing panel tool, the panel connection tools, the opening tools. If you use a manufacturer such as Howick, then their connections are on the system there too. Or if you want your own custom connections, you can create your own as well. So we have some links available already on Warehouse, and this is a kind of an overview of those. And we also have a UK and a global development team who work on updating and improving the tools based on user feedback. And we also have the ability to export multiple different machine export file types. So that's NC and DSTV for hot rolled, IFCs for collaboration, which we'll be looking at in more detail today, DXFs, DWGs, CSV, XL, XML, and STEP. So pretty much any machine we can connect with if you just want to get in touch and ask us for any more details on that. What type of projects would Tekla Structures be used on? So small residential projects, small load bearing with a mixture of hot rolled frame, infill panels, and that could be for a concrete base model or a steel base model. And then we have the large load bearing with mixed material, so any kind of hybrid structures, concrete, steel, timber, framing, they can all be done within Tekla. And then we see a lot of volumetric modular use because of that ability to have both your cold rolled and hot rolled all in one model and all the manufacturing data for that. So last time we looked at just creating the model using the framing tools and generating drawings and managing changes. So this time we're going to be looking at the value of the model. So what more can we get from the model once that's been created? So a couple of kind of things we'll be covering are managing the phasing and lotting of a project. So if it's a large project and you need to coordinate how that material gets to site, we'll be looking at that. We'll be given an overview of some of the tools within Trimble Connect. This is our collaboration tool, which is included in the Tekla Structures subscription. We'll be looking at generating IFCs, sending that out for collaboration, and how do we interact with that model? How do we use that on site or in the workshop? We also have tools available such as status sharing within Trimble Connect. So this is where you can effectively get live feedback from site or anywhere that you want to track progress. and that would be done through the app, and then you get live updates to the model. And we also have tools such as the visualizer. So this is included in the subscription also. So this is where we can generate photorealistic rendering and fly-throughs of the model. Can be a really nice kind of sales tool, or just to give the client an idea of what they're going to get with the finished product once you've completed your part on site. So it's really easy to use, and it's quite a nice tool. We have augmented and mixed reality there as well. So we've got Trimble Sight Vision, we've got the Trimble XR10. So that's using the HoloLens 2, and there's kind of a workflow with that. And what would that look like in real terms use? So we can overlay assemblies. So this is a volumetric unit overlaid with an IFC with all of the dimension available there. So if it was for a quality check or anything like that, then we can do it. This was actually filmed with the HoloLens 1. So the HoloLens 2 has come on leaps and bounds since then. So that's just kind of a possible use case for what you do with the model afterwards. But we can now look at some of the workflow tools available in Tekla Warehouse 2. So things as the crane tool and the stacker we're going to look at today. And I'll now pass on to Radu, and he can take you through all of the tools that are available and some of the workflows that are there. Thanks very much.
Hi, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Radu Trankau, and I'm a regional account manager in the steel segment here at Trimble UK. So based on what we've learned in part 1, where we saw what tools we have in Tekla Structures to set up, model, and edit a light metal framing model, and also how to produce deliverables from a constructible, finalized model, today we'll be looking at what happens after the model has been completed. So the process doesn't stop at just building the model and issuing out the drawings, and we'll be looking at what can we do after that just to maximize efficiency throughout all the processes until erection on site and even beyond. And we will be looking at some incredible plugins that you can download from Warehouse that will help you in the process. But before I go into showcasing a couple of Tekla Warehouse plugins, I just want to highlight what's the best time-saving option you have when working with light metal framing models. So let's just say you have this model complete. I just have a simple model here with a simple repetitive frame that I've stripped out of grids and floors just for simplicity, for showing what we can do with such a model in this presentation. So the first thing is, if you have, or if you're doing repetitive structures based on the same panel lengths, approximate grids, or just approximately the same openings or drawings required, you can just have this model completed with everything such as assemblies and connections and assembly numbering prefixes or series numbers, connections, openings, and basically everything that you can reuse in a new model, along with drawings. I think for this model, I just have one assembly drawing that you might wish to take onto a new model just for cloning purposes to save you some time. What you can do is to save this model as a model template. What this does is it just saves all the settings, all the members, all the parts, all the custom attributes, drawings, or maybe IFCs if you want, and just loads them every time you open up a new model. So if you save this, startup LMF, at this point here, the model template, which is saved as a brand new model, can be loaded when you start a new model. So when you hit new and you rename your model, you have the option to start from this model template. What this does is it just starts a new model from the same point that you are saving this template. So think of it as just saving a library of connections, panels, openings for future reuse in new models. Okay, so now let's just look at some tools that I've downloaded from the warehouse that are very, very useful for your light metal framing projects. One of them is called Stacker. What Stacker does is just an external application that you can load with assemblies from your Tekla model, and it just emulates a delivery truck, for example. So in order to do that, you have the option to set up a maximum load capacity, length, width, and height of the transportation unit. I'll just change that to 2500 to be closer to a standard truck. And I'll just start loading some assemblies from the model. You just need to select, be in the assemblies selection mode, select them and import from Tekla Structures. I'll just do a few of these, probably this panel as well. Just take the bigger ones, and then I'll just take a truss as well. Okay, so once you have these, and as a side information here, you would most definitely would like to lot and to separate your model into deliveries, something that I've done in the background just to save us a little bit of time. I've just added a lot for the ground floor, a lot for the first floor, and a lot for the second floor, and you can see them differentiated into different colors here just as a representation filter. I've also done a first floor frame filter, so you can just highlight these, just the first frame. I think the tonnage for the first frame would be something in between 4 and 5 tons. So if it's something that you need to optimize for your deliveries to site or for the loading and unloading in the shop and offloading on site, this is a great tool to optimize weights and also the order of the assemblies that go onto the truck, depending on which ones you want to offload first. So once you're in the stacker, once you've loaded all your assemblies, obviously you can have multiple stacks. You can just start dragging them onto the platform. Yeah. So once they're on the platform, you see the panel is a typical 2400 just to fit onto the back of it. You can just rotate it and simply just put it over here. Yeah, so you can do that with every assembly that you are loading on the stack. And at the end of this process, you'll have the option to export what you've stacked into a PDF and just export it to whoever's loading the trailer or unloading the trailer to have a map of the actual transport. So that's a cool plugin that will obviously make your transportation or delivery to site from your shop a little bit more easier and saving you a little bit more of time. Basically, it just creates a PDF with all the views included from the stacker. Now for the second tool that I've downloaded from the warehouse called a crane tool, you have the option to plan your crane on site, depending on how your building is looking like and depending on an optimization of the space and range of the crane. I'll just quickly go back to standard mode just to get ready, just to get the building ready for the crane. What happens here is if you select the crane, you just need to be in the, just make sure your work plane is set up right. So it should be plane XY. Apologize for that. You can set up your crane and you can see the range of your boom. Okay. Let's just say you want to put it here. The rotation of it, that's totally up to you how you put it. And then the rotation of the crane boom. So if you put it here. Now, once you select it as a component, you need to switch from assemblies to component. You can also see the range in here. So what you can do with the crane is double click it and start adding properties. So that's one way of doing the crane. You can start giving it a name, class, and finish, and also a few parameters here. You can also make it a mobile crane, something like that, or a crawler, or a tower crane. So you have different options here just to kind of plan your erection from the craning tool. You've got the boom length, effective, and you also have this option here, which is the latest addition, the crane tool, where you can set different parameters such as the rigging, supply points, and also you can just manage all your cranes in the model. Yeah, you can add different cranes now. For example, you can add a second crane, and so on and so forth. So that's a great tool just to have a better understanding of how the erection process is to be managed and how your building is going to be placed in reference with the cranes on site. Now, talking about erection on site, there's another facility in Tekla Structures that can be very, very neatly tied with laser points or laser scanners on site for erection purposes. And that's called a layout point. Yeah. So what you can do with the layout points is to set points in the model that you can later export into a total station on site. So you can have, for example, these points where all these posts go. Say you want all these to be pointed, laser pointed on site on a total station. Once you've drawn them in the model, what you can do is just to go to the Manage tab and Layout Manager, where you will see all the points with all the coordinates in the model, right? And what you can do here is to export them as a CNX file or a TFL file. You can also export them as a TXT file and use several manufacturers or several suppliers of total stations on site to which you can point these points exactly to have absolute precision when you install these panels on site. Let's look now at some tools that are in the realm of collaboration. And just before moving to Trimble Connect to show you a few tips and tricks there, I just want to show you another thing here in the model, and that's the Tekla Structures visualizer. If you just want to present your model into a much more realistic rendition, you can do that by just going to the View tab and click Visualize All. And that will open the visualizer straight from Tekla Structures, where you can see a much more closer to reality rendition of your metal structure. So we've seen this tool being used in presentations, walkthroughs, videos of the light metal framing building itself. So just to make you aware, this exists here. And let's just move to Trimble Connect to see what we can do with the model. Obviously, you know, Trimble Connect brings together everybody in the team as a collaboration, from the site teams to architect to construction engineer, everybody. So what you can do there, once you have these panels drawn, you can link your drawings to your IFC. So let's just say I've got this drawing made for these typical panels. Okay, just select them in the model. Now what you can do is get this macro from the warehouse as well, called linking documents to Trimble Connect. And what you can do in here before signing into Trimble Connect is, I've already done this in the background. So I've created a project. This project is shared in Trimble Connect. It's called LMF Webinar Part 2. It sits in the cloud. And I've also generated an classical out.ifc. So this macro, linking documents to Trimble Connect, will link the documents to the actual IFC. So if you select these panels from the drawings, you have the option here to say, well, I just want to link the drawings that are created in the Tekla model just for the selected objects. You have the options here to have them what documents type you want. So you want all the assembly, single part, or GAs as well. NC files, you can link basically anything. So I'll just click on this button here to start linking the documents. Meanwhile, I'll quickly bring out Trimble Connect, the web version, while this loads up, and it looks something like that. So I've got the project here. I've got the IFC set out, and let's wait and see how the process really works. The process has been finalized, and it comes up with an error saying, well, not an error, but a message saying some events occurred, see the info log. It always prompts you this message so you can open the actual log to see that the number of uploaded assembly drawings are there as you wanted. So now if you close this macro and just bringing up the folder, all you have to do is to refresh it, and then we should be able to see all the assembly drawings. So there's a bunch of folders being created here that are nothing but the actual drawings put into a folder. Now, how we can visualize this is by opening the out IFC, because that PDF has been linked with the actual IFC. So once you open this in the 3D viewer, you should be able to see a small icon where the actual linked drawing is. By clicking on this button, attachments, you can see the attachments here where the panel is. And from here, once you click the frame, you are able to see the actual drawing and open it straight from Trimble Connect. Not only you, but everybody that's in the team. Okay, so this is a slick way of linking all your drawings to your actual federated model. Obviously, you have the option, imagine you're linking every one of your documents here. You've got the option to not see the links. And if you go to, let's just quickly close this one and go to the desktop version. It's been synchronized as well with the online version. Works a little bit, it's depending on your internet, so it's always better to open it first in the desktop version. Another thing that I wanted to show here, and I'll quickly switch to the online Trimble Connect as well, is that when you are in the IFC, you can also link all sorts of documents for your specific assemblies, not only by using the macro, the link documents to Trimble Connect, but you can also, for example, I'll just pick up this truss here. So say for this assembly here, you've got this button, add attachment, and then it just prompts you to choose a document for this one. It can be anything. It can be a spec, it can be a DWG, it can be a PDF, and it can be a note, anything actually. So another cool stuff that you can do here is to generate a DWG and to overlay dimensions in the 3D model. The way I'm going to do that is going back to our Tekla Structures model. I've generated a PDF for this assembly real quick and just exported it. But before exporting it, just a few properties that I've set up for the export in order for the overlay to work seamless. Is if you go to here to export, I've got this settings TC overlay. It just needs to have these layer rules set up. Effectively, all I'm interested in exporting are just the markups. So the dimension marks, detail marks, everything in here. So I don't want the actual model object because that's going to be in the 3D view in Trimble Connect. Once I've done that, I'll just go straight to my model folder, plot files, and I should be able to have this beam drawing here, which I can then upload straight into Trimble Connect. I'll just drop it here and then just wait until it loads up. Once it's completed, I can just select these two, the IFC and the beam, together in the 3D view and start another session, another 3D viewer. And if I just now load the beam, you can see straight away the dimensions. So let's just quickly show only this one, and then I'll just see you've got switching off the two. So just see everything in view now. And we're just gonna see this one as well. You see how you have all the dimensions overlaid onto the assembly, and this is quite a nice tool to check. If you have, for example, a Trimble HoloLens on, if you go on site and this is obviously laid on site, you can just overlay all the dimensions and check them straight away. Okay. And now if I just go to show you, so we've got this DWG over here. I'll just start the card viewer, something that it's recently developed in Trimble Connect. So once you have a DWG, you don't need any other third-party software to do basic edits in the card viewer. You just need to start it up in Trimble Connect, and you just have the ability now to edit all these dimensions here and to do a little bit of a cleanup should you wish. So, okay, model, you just need to take a distance. Let's just try a distance. So just for the sake of it, just gives you the distance. So quite a lot of functionalities in here if you want to rebuild the drawing and just see what the marks are. Properties, you can also start editing. You've got the edit button. You can start editing and just play around with the annotations. So basic functionalities, but at the ready should you wish to modify anything in this DWG. Straight from the online browser. So it's called the CAD viewer. Okay. One last thing before ending the session here is recommending you to follow our on-demand webinars. We've got a lot of webinars done on the visualizer, for example, or Trimble Connect. A lot of more useful tips and tricks over there on the subject. So I think that being said, that's just concluding my presentation for now. And thank you very much for listening. Hopefully you've seen some new stuff and some very, very useful stuff that will help you in achieving a much more efficient workflow with light metal framing. And now I'll be looking at the questions, and I'll be taking questions at the end of this presentation. So thank you very much.